So on our project, what do we actually want to do? Well, what we want to do is actually pick some of these titles from up here and here and here and here and here and change the text of them. So how do we go about doing that? Well, the first thing we need to do is we need to add this as a script. At the moment, if I do anything as part of this, obviously the only thing we can really change is the hover state. We can't change any of the content of the HTML. So to do that, we need to add some JavaScript. Not P5. Again, we're not adding P5 because this isn't drawing anything. We need to add actual pure vanilla JavaScript to our project. So to do this, I'm going to go to my JavaScripts and add in a new script.js. Now at the moment, any code that we write in here doesn't know about the rest of the page. It isn't connected in any way. Just like if we upload an image and then we don't add it to the page, we need to add this script to our index.html. And I'm going to do this right at the bottom. The reason for doing this right at the bottom is I want my text to be loaded to then to do stuff on it. So here, what we're going to do right at the bottom is add a script. And the source of this script is which one? Well, unsurprisingly, script.js. So what we're going to start to do now is add some content in here. So how do you actually go about changing text? Well, the first thing we need to do is select the tags that we want to select. So how do we do this? The first thing I'm going to do is just add some changes to one tag. Which tag? Just this first h1 tag. So the first thing I'm going to do is add a new thing called a constant. And what I'm going to pick is a header tag. And then this is going to be equal to something. So within the page, what I want to do is pick just the first tag. To do this, I'm going to pick within my document. Now notice document isn't in quotes. This is actually a special word in JavaScript. I want to do something to this document and I want to pick something. To do something to this document, I want to do something using a dot and then tell it what I want to do. And again, another special word in JavaScript is query selector. So query with a capital S in selector, no spaces anywhere in this, and then I want to run this. To run this, I use round brackets. Now currently it's complaining because usually it expects something to be inside these brackets. What does it expect to be inside the brackets? Well, in quotes, h1. We want to pick the first h1 tag. So now I've saved the h1 tag to something called header tag. How do I change the content within header tag itself? Well, on the next line, I'm just going to add some space. What I'm going to do is change this header tag's HTML itself. To do that, I'm going to run header tag. I'm going to pick header tag from up here. And then on this, I'm going to do something to it on its inner HTML. So notice HTML is capitalized. What do we want to do to this? Well, we want to make it equal to something else. At the moment, it's equal to downtown Los Angeles. Maybe we make it downtown Brooklyn instead. So equal to, in quotes, downtown Brooklyn. It's in the wrong place. Well, we could have just changed this in HTML itself, but we want to change this dynamically a little bit later. So let's see if this has done anything. So if we preview it now, it should say downtown Brooklyn, even though in my index.html at the top, it says downtown Los Angeles. Now, how do I go about picking this H2 and this H1 and this H2, this H1, this H2? At the moment, we've just picked one thing only, which is the first tag. So to do this, I'm going to go back to my script. And what I need to change is I don't want it to be header tag. I don't want it to be just one tag. I want to change this to header tags, plural. At the moment, query selector is currently complaining down here as well, of course, because we changed that. We don't want to pick just one tag, which is what query selector does. We want to pick a list of tags. So now I'm going to change this query selector to query selector all. So capital A for all, and this is going to pick a list of all the H1 tags. Now we want to not just pick the H1 tags, we also want to pick the H2 tags as well. So in my quotes, I can put after 1 in H1, comma, H2. Now this goes and picks out H1s and H2s from the page. Now again, this is complaining because header tags is plural, we put header tag. Now if I just change this at the moment to header tags.innerHTML, what happens? Well, if I go back to my page, nothing happens. None of these have changed. Why? Well, the reason for that is inner HTML only works per tag. And this is a list of tags. So at the moment, this isn't compatible together. So for now, I'm just going to get rid of that. What I want to do is go over each header tag one by one and change its individual tag. Now to do this, I'm going to get the header tags. And instead of doing dot inner HTML, I can't change that because it's not an individual tag. What I want to do is go over each tag one by one. And to do that, I want to use a dot and something called a for each. For and a capital E, each. So for each individual tag, I want to do something to this. What do I want to do? Well, at the moment, the for each isn't running. I need to run this by using round brackets. And then on this, I can say, well, pick a tag and then do some code to it. What I'm going to do is say the word tag. I've made up the word tag, just like I made up the word header tags. And then what I can pass this to is some code to run stuff. To pass this tag for each individual one, the H1, then the H2, then the H3, then the H4, think of it like the for loop in the last projects. What we're going to do is use this arrow, which is an equals and an angle bracket. And we're going to pass this tag into some code, some curly brackets. Now, just like before, I like to open up my curly brackets to make it a little bit easier to see what's going on. And now I have tag. So the first time this tag runs, it's the first H1. The second time, it's the H2, then the other H1, then the other H2. So this code here will run 6 times because this is picking 6 tags. If I add 20 tags to the page, this will run 20 times. For each individual tag, I want to run some code on that tag. What do I want to run? Well, for that tag, I want to change its inner HTML. And this is going to be equal to downtown Brooklyn. Not download, downtown Brooklyn. I can download Brooklyn if I want. But what we should see now is if I go back to my preview is H1, H2, H1, H2, H1, H2 have all changed. So now what I've done is set up the thing that I want to set up. I've basically picked all the tags and I'm doing something to each individual tag. I'm changing its content.